Hello, my name's Colin Crithers, and I'm a student reporter and broadcaster at the University of Iowa. As a journalist, my job is to tell stories, while also balancing everything else going on in my life as a student. But no one tells our stories. So, my goal is to tell the stories of the student journalists, broadcasters, and storytellers all across the country. Let's walk the student beat. Welcome in. Today, we're walking the student beat with my co-sports director, my broadcast partner, and admittedly my best friend, Elise Gan of Iowa. Elise, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I appreciate you spending some time with me here on the student beat.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course, I know we're about to be back in Iowa City, getting ready to do everything again for this upcoming semester. But first, if you don't mind introducing a little bit more about yourself and the journalistic outlets you work with.
Yeah, so I'm Elise. I go to Iowa and I'm going to be a junior. I am double majoring in journalism and sport media and culture. I'm from Chicago, if you couldn't tell by my shrine behind me. Um, and what I do, I am, as you said, co-sports director. I'll occasionally broadcast for our student radio, KRUI, and also for the Daily Iowan. I'm going to start writing too on the print side, so I'll write some features, cover some stuff, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, you got a lot going on your plate there. First, we got to talk about the Chicago sports wall. I'm gonna just call it that behind you. I can tell Chris Bryant's there, obviously. What else? What else do we have back there?
Okay. Chris Bryant, and then up here is a ton of quotes, is a ton of quotes from the 2015 Stanley Cup.
Hmm.
And then up there, it's like a magnet, but I taped it. And then I have some player cards, Kane, Hossa, and Sieber. And then I have a bookmark, and then I have a ticket from the Stanley Cup final. And then I have more player cards down here, Keith, Shaw, and Jalmerson. And then I got Shorbs, and then I got KB again.
Yeah, the whole thing going on there, the whole
Yeah,
roundabout.
and then I have like a little ornament of Wrigley, and then my Nico jersey. Yeah, there's like a whole other thing on
Is it really?
my the shrine.
Oh my Lord. Well, we'll talk about Chicago sports here after a bit. I'm sure we will, but I want to ask you first. The main reason with this is, you're in sports journalism. I want to ask why you wanted to get into it.
Yeah, so when I was younger, I excelled more in writing in that area. If you asked me to do a math problem, I would have to be there for probably at least an hour. It just never clicked with me. I was in the lowest classes possible. It was just not my thing. But I was always good at English and writing, and I loved it. I would just pick up stuff and write whatever I wanted. And with the obsession with sports, I figured, oh, why don't I just write about it? Um, and the thing that really got me into it, actually, I didn't realize when I was younger that me being a sports journalist was a possibility. I was sitting on my couch watching the post game to just like Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football with my grandparents. And there were a few women at the table. I'm sitting there minding my own business, not saying anything. And then my grandpa, God love him. I love my grandpa. Shout out Boomer. But I remember him saying, "Why are there women at this table? Because they don't play, they don't know what they're talking about." Then my grandma, Mimi, God bless Mimi, she was like, "Yeah, like that." And I was sitting there, and I don't know, that right there kind of it clicked for me because I looked over and I was like, "You guys realize that's what I want to do, right?" And you could hear a pin drop in that room at that moment. But I don't know, seeing them, I was kind of like, that's interesting. So I never thought that I myself could do it, but that's kind of like what got me into it.
So yeah, there's kind of like your inspiration, obviously, of wanting to get into sports journalism. But talk to me about your start in this industry, especially at Iowa.
My start, it was a punch in the gut. I will say that. It was not smooth sailing. Um, but it made me who I am. So I am appreciative of it. My start, I applied to the Daily Iowan August of my freshman year. I got in September, and in my interview, I interviewed for the sports side. And I made that very clear. And they told me, oh, we don't have any open spots right now, but maybe in the future you could go in. So I'm like, great, whatever, I'll do news for right now. And they were like, you'll just have to earn your way into it. Okay. Um, so I worked, I did covered arts and crafts fairs, gardens. I did some new stuff. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I loved. And DITV, it's a lot, especially first year in college, it's a lot. And I was focusing on classes. So it got to a point where I was like, all right, it's October and they haven't even come to me about the sports side. And I don't know, I was burning out a little bit. And then the thing that really hurt the most was also in October when a guy my age joined DITV and went straight into sports, right in, because apparently there was a spot open for him. And that did not make me happy. So I went to one of the directors and I asked and I said, what do I have to do? I want to do this, but I don't know what else I can do. I've been making packages, I've been making VOSOTs, I've been doing live shots. What else? And the answer was the same. Oh, just keep trying. Like effort pays off. So I did. And then winter break rolled around and it just got to a point where I wasn't doing what I love. I was miserable. Um, and yeah, if I wanted to start pursuing what I wanted to do, I wanted to do it then at a younger age instead of just finding what I want when I was older. So I was like, all right, I'm done with this and I'm going to find something else. I drafted up my resignation email and I didn't send it. It was just sitting there and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll just leave it and then after break I'll feel better. So it's just sitting in my drafts. And over break, I went on a class trip and someone from the sports staff was in my class. And we were at a Chicago Wolves hockey game. And I was just talking about the game. And he looks at me and he's like, I didn't know you were into sports like this. And for some reason, that just kind of ticked me off because I had made it very obvious to everyone. Um, and I was like, yeah, I actually applied to be in the sports side of DITV. And he was like, really? I had no idea. Da, 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 da. Like, no one ever talks about you. And that was another punch to the gut. So I look at him and I go, you have 2 weeks to talk to the director because before this trip, I was out of here. And like in the most respectful way possible. If I don't know, I wanted to prioritize myself and find my passion and do what I loved, and it just wasn't there at the time. And so he kept his promise. He talked to the director and they got me in. And that was great. I had fun, but it again, everything is 10 times harder when you're a woman in sports. It's exhausting. So sophomore year rolls around. I'm on the sports team, but I had to write basically something the length of the Constitution explaining why not just me, but other people deserve more opportunities because I was told I wasn't a polished or experienced enough reporter to cover specific games and events. That's understandable, but where and when am I going to get the opportunities to become a polished and experienced reporter? You can't just do that overnight. You need the experience and you need those opportunities in order to grow. So I texted our sports director, Brady Barron, and I said, Brady, look, I hear you and I hear what you're saying, but I haven't gotten those. I didn't get those last year when I basically had to barge through the door. And now that I'm here, it's like, okay, I'm here, but what am I doing? And he was fantastic. He replied and said, "You just opened my eyes to a side that I hadn't seen earlier." And he got me into a lot more stuff, and I'm very appreciative of him. But yeah, it was not an easy ride, but it definitely made me stronger and it taught me how to stand my ground a little more and don't just walk away from things because you don't think you're able to do them. Do it.
Absolutely. That's a great story, and I really appreciate you sharing that, Elise. It's a big thing that some people do go through. And I think that big part about women in sports will be an aspect we hit on big time here a bit later. But I want to first mention so we can build it up the experiences that you've had at Iowa, the different things you do. And we're going to showcase why that is. Obviously, you mentioned DITV, our student radio KRUI Sports, and as well as writing a little bit now. But first, talk to me about your experience with DITV, what all that is, and what all you do there.
So DITV is the news station at our school. We do live shows every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 a.m.
Shout out.
Um, shout out.
Tune in.
Um, and yeah, so our jobs as co-sports directors, we basically oversee our sports staff and we'll figure out who's covering what game and whatnot. And everyone's jobs, directors, reporters, no matter what, is to make packages and put together content. And for sports, it's so cool. We get to go to games for free and film them and cover them and write about it, and then stay up until 2 in the morning making a package about it. And then you get up at 8 in the morning to watch it run live. It's so, like, it is a lot. It's exhausting, but I love it.
I feel like it's worth it when especially the part of waking up and seeing it run live. It feels worth it at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
I will also like mention like the thing behind the scenes for DITV is we'll all talk after a show. Like we'll all group up in a circle. And it's like a the sports analogies. We're literally in the locker room. Coach is giving us a little speech about what we're going over the whiteboard material.
Yeah.
So then that's a nice part of hearing what we liked, what we didn't like. And I mean, obviously, when you get a hey, that package was nice, that feels pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
And I mean, you mentioned making full packages. What's one of your favorite packages you put together?
Favorite package. Um, I've talked to you about this one before. I went to Philly
Oh,
over last spring break to cover the NCAA Men's Wrestling Championships. We had a few guys in it from Iowa. And on day three, championship round, Stephen Buchanan, the GOAT, he won. And I think honestly, this would have been one of my best pieces of work if they allowed us to film. But since it's under NCAA stuff, you can't. You can only use pictures. But I didn't really let that stop me. I loved it because I wrote my script as if I were writing a feature story. Because even though I can't really show you what happened, my thing is I can still tell you and I can use my voice and use my tone and whatever. And I just think that was my all-time favorite thing to do because it was in the Big Ten tournament, he did not perform well. And then in here, like he came back and it was this awesome thing. And I think it was just super cool to also take people behind the scenes because that was probably the most emotional press conferences I've ever been to. Like he had me tearing up. I was like, oh man, I'm happy for this guy. But I was just really glad I could share that.
do you feel like with a story like that where you can't use video, it was all picture, correct?
Correct.
So do you feel like that's a story where your writing expertise, you being so strong in that area, came out more?
For sure. I think I also it was kind of like a compromise with my sports director at the time because the rule is packages are supposed to be around a minute and 30 seconds. And it was like 2 in the morning and I texted him and I was like, Brady, hey. Um, and I just basically said, I have such a good story here. And like I think honestly, I just would like a little more free reign. So I think I made it 3 minutes and 30 seconds or something because you just have you need time to be able to tell all of that. And I honestly prefer writing over broadcasting or any TV thing because, again, that's when you get to take the viewer, the reader, the person into the places they can't see. Obviously, you can film a press conference, but like, let's be real, half their answers are PR. So when you catch them outside of that and you can put that into words and they don't have a camera in their face, it's like 1,000 times more authentic. And I just love it that way. So being able to write that and combine it with something that would be on TV was just so cool.
No, absolutely. And I do remember that story, and it was very well told, very well spoken. And I mean, we got to do the shout out Brady Barron real quick.
Brady Barron shout out for sure.
Shout- Let's have some fun real quick. I mean, share with me maybe your favorite Brady story, if you can
My
think of it.
favorite Brady story.
There's probably a million. This God bless this guy.
Um, I mean, it's not really a story, but our whole staff, the sports staff, we kind of turned Brady into like a punching bag. It's not we're like not in a mean way. Just want to clarify that. But um we found his old esports page
He's gonna hate us.
on his old school's website and we made it like we made it the background of all the computers. We did it so when you open Google, like it would just open right to his page and like we printed it and put it everywhere. I don't know, but that was funny. And he was so good about it too, which made it 10 times better. If he weren't okay with it, obviously it wouldn't be funny. Um, but we were like his little kids. He was just like, okay.
Cool. I mean, for those that have watched this podcast or the show, I guess I typically link stuff for Brady. I will not link the website to that page. I promise.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be a little evil.
Just,
Tiny bit.
yeah.
He was cool about it. No, I won't do that. I won't do that at all. But yeah, I mean, you talk about being co-sports director and overseeing the sports staff and everything. What's one thing you look forward to most in that role of being kind of there for everyone?
I love being able to help people. Um, especially like knowing what it feels like to not have a lot of help in the past, just with specific things. It's not fun. And it's not fun to feel as if you're bothering someone, constantly asking for something. So I want to be the person that is kind of like the safe spot, the home base where it's okay if you ask me a million questions, and I don't care if it's the same question 1 million times. I'm there for you, and I want to help, and I want them to feel okay asking me for help.
That's the whole point of it, right?
Mhm.
Exactly. And I think that's something you will obviously excel in knowing you personally. So I'll give you that there. But you've also brought up KRUI and getting a few broadcasts here or there. So talk to me about what that experience is like.
Yeah, KRUI, it's so much fun because it's not as serious as if I were going on Big Ten Plus and broadcasting some huge game for all the parents of the athletes to see, and that stresses me out. But KRUI, broadcasting isn't my number one strength. That's just something I like to do for fun. Um, and that's just a great outlet for it. And shout out to Aiden Wirtz, the director. He's phenomenal. Um, but yeah, I've called some basketball, I've called some baseball. It's fun. You and I call games.
We certainly do. Shout
Hmm.
out Wordsy. Shout out Wordsy. But we have a lot of fun with those calls.
Hmm.
I like the time. I think my favorite part is when we just break off and just random stuff. And
Oh
like
yeah.
games going on, like, oh, there's a strike. By the way, did you watch this one movie? You have
It's like
any
when we were talking about reality shows.
Oh yeah. What were we
Perfect
talking?
Match and Temptation Island.
What is I don't remember Perfect Match.
It's like I don't really, it's they gather like 10 girls and 10 guys and put them in a house and they all take a compatibility test in the beginning and they're all assigned a match, but obviously none of them know. So the point of the show is they have to figure it out. They have to figure out who their match is. Even if they don't like them in real life, that's what the scientific thing it paired them. So they have to figure out their pair. And they have only so many nights to guess it, and it's entertaining.
Huh. So like I guess if they pair up right, they win.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's not like an elimination, like there's rounds or anything. You just either you get it or you don't, right?
right,
Okay.
right.
Okay. And yeah, you said Temptation Island. Oh my Lord. Yeah, we were
Yeah,
live on a baseball call, and I think they were just like it wasn't in between innings. It was just I think it was a pitching change or so. No, yeah, I think it was a pitching change. Correct me if I'm wrong. That we were just
I
talking.
don't really remember.
It was a big old break, breaking the action. Do you have any other favorite moments on the headset on call?
I mean, I loved my walk-off call.
Oh
Um,
yes.
that was super fun. The suicide squeeze. Um, I've never had a walk-off call before. I mean, I've only called like 3 baseball games ever, but it was really cool. It was really fun.
It was a great call. Do you kind of remember what how it went at all?
I remember my call, and I remember the adrenaline and watching like so and so's coming from third base and he's running and he's squaring the bat. Oh my God. It was just like I was all over the place. Because the
The
guy at
energy.
the plate, he's like this 6'5", jacked, huge, last person you would ever want to bunt the ball. He squares. So everyone is like, ugh. That was like the big thing.
Yeah, and you had the energy in it. The energy was definitely there,
Yeah,
and
the microphone did peak.
it did, but it was a good call, obviously. So credit to you for that.
Thanks.
That was I remember being a color commentator for that. Um, and then you mentioned also writing a little bit more, getting back to the old point of liking writing more than most things, especially compared to math. I got to bring up the point of like you brought up how like math wasn't your thing, but English and writing was. It's like
Mm,
almost polar opposite of me. And growing up in school, I was well at first I started off at all lower classes, just period, and then somehow I got into like the top math class, but I was never a good wasn't good at writing, wasn't good at English. I wasn't. I ended up not being like bottom at the end, but like it's polar opposite. So I thought that was really funny and unique. But the writing portion, talk to me about how you're going to do DITV and Daily Iowan.
yeah, so it'll be a lot, but I'm excited for it. So the Daily Iowan, obviously there are 2 sides, TV, print, and when I applied, I actually meant to apply for print, but I didn't. So that's why I'm in TV. I just turned out to really like it. So now I'm actually going into print, and the sports editor there, Brad Schultz, shout out. He reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I heard you're interested in writing. Do you want to write for us sometimes?" And I was like, "Oh my God, sure." Um, and I never really thought to incorporate myself or reach out because I didn't want to take other people's spots or I don't I don't know. I was just it wasn't on the forefront of my mind. I was actually in the car with Brad when he asked me that. And then there was another time when I was in the car with 2 other print reporters, and they straight up asked me, "Why aren't you on the print team?" And I was like, "Yeah, why am I not on the print team?" So might as well split my time and it'll be fun. I'll get to cover games just in the press box instead of on the field, and I'll write some features. We have kid captains for Iowa football. So I'll get to write about those, and those are always just so amazing to write, and those people are so amazing to talk to. So that'll be really fun.
They are great to talk to. I gotta give some love to one of my favorite kid captain stories I did the last year, I guess. It was the Hayden Urich was the kid captain. And at this point, like I was on the call with them, asked some questions, put together their story, and sent it. And at this point, if you give me a second, I have her kid captain card at this point because I have become friends pretty much with this family. So they sit in the same spot for each game. And beforehand, whenever I'd go cover one, I would go step up and talk to them before the game would start, or maybe even at halftime. I think one of the games I was sitting on the side they sit, and I would just turn around every now and then and just like shake my head at this one play or be like, "Yeah, like how do we like that play?" But no, the families are amazing. Those stories, as you mentioned, are incredible.
Yeah, for sure.
So with, I mean, I feel like you could also with the writing part though, like you can always have more writers.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely not taking any spot there. Do you feel like it? How could it be difficult to balance writing your writing style, I should say, and your TV personality? Do you feel like those weigh on each other at all, or do you feel like it's kind of easy to separate your mind on them?
Um, for me, they're easy to separate, um, because my main job for the past 2 years has been TV. So I've been forced to separate them,
Mm.
but I love my writing voice and I just think my TV voice is okay. So separating them, it's been a little difficult. So when I'm going to incorporate the two, I'm going to try and find a happy medium. I think I don't love the TV as much because my writing voice is very, I write at like I would talk. I write with sarcasm. I talk to the reader as if I'm just telling them like, "Oh my God, guess what happened?" But a little more professional. And on TV, you can't really do that. So I guess I'll just try and find a happy medium there.
Absolutely. And I want to give you a chance to talk about this point. This is the beauty of also being at Iowa, knowing this point. I think you'll appreciate it. Is one of the classes that you've taken for writing, for sports writing, specifically at the University of Iowa. I think you know what I'm hinting at if you want to share what that is and how that's impacted you.
Are you talking about the Chicago trip
Oh,
or my
I
spring
not
break
even.
class?
I was talking about one of at least your, but one of the favorite professors for sports writing at the University of Iowa.
Wayne Drays. I appreciate that man to an extent that I don't think he will ever know or understand. He has guided me in the best direction I could be guided. Um, he has been there through my ups and downs, and he was one of my professors freshman year when I was still figuring everything out, what I wanted and everything like that. And yeah, the Chicago trip over winter break, we it was like this class, and I was looking at it, and I live here. So I was looking at it, and I was like, I live here. It's 1 credit hour. Might as well just do it. Whatever. It turned out to be one of the best experiences of my entire life. I met some of my best friends on that trip. Um, and that trip is also the reason I got into DITV Sports. But Wayne, he's just the absolute best because he's like a coach. He keeps it real, but it's in a way that pushes you to be better. And I'm not the person who's like, it's okay, just keep no, like I need you to be like, that's terrible, change that, and he does just that. Um, there are some moments where he'll be critiquing my work and I'll read it and be like, oh, okay. Um, but it's what I need and it's what makes me better. Um, and yeah, at the end of last year, I took sports writing with Wayne. I was in one of the biggest slumps I've ever been in as a writer, as what I did for DITV, just as a journalist. Um, and I got the worst grade on an assignment in general that I've gotten in years. Like I haven't gotten a grade that low since I was in high school. Um, and it was from Wayne. And that I was like, oh my gosh, like he probably thinks I don't know what I'm doing and da da da. Because all I want to do is impress him and show him that he's teaching me well, that I appreciate him. So I wrote him this long email, and it was basically like, I need your help. I'm struggling out here. So I went in his office and I talked with him for a few hours, and he's just so great. He gave me a ton of guidance, he helped me out. Um, and yeah, I'll always take all of his advice and use it for the rest of my career, the rest of my life.
He knows his stuff. You can't deny
Yeah.
it. I mean, I figured you'd appreciate a moment to talk about him real quick and that experience.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Shout out Wayne.
Out Wayne Dre's. I mean, I'll admit,
Shout
I have not been able to get into a class with him, and it's weird. Okay, it's weird with my track. I don't even know if I'll be able to, which is kind of upsetting.
Probably not.
Yeah, I know, because like my main, it's a whole story, but my main major is sport and rec management, and then I have journalism as a major as well. So I don't know if I'll be able to get into one, but I know all the stories and everything are incredible, and he's an incredible professor.
Yeah, he really is. He's the best.
And you mentioned Chicago sports. I mean, we talked at the very top of the show about your wall behind you, and I got to ask you. I mean, growing up in Chicago, you've got so many unique teams, cool sports. You're in all four major leagues, uh,
Hmm.
and everything. Do you feel like growing up in Chicago, a Chicago sports fan, almost encourages you in a way into sports journalism?
Sure. I think this is what I tell people all the time. Um, when I tell them I'm from Chicago and I'm also doing journalism, it's impossible to grow up in Chicago and not enjoy or at least be surrounded by sports. Everywhere you go, there's a TV with a game on, there's flags, there's signs, there's jerseys, everything. It's the whole city, and I love it. And yeah, I think it has definitely influenced my want to pursue this track and career. Um, it was mostly the Blackhawks. I was obsessed with Jonathan Toews as a little kid. I still am. He will be my forever idol. And my goal was to be an NHL writer, whatever that is now, just so I could write all about the Blackhawks and all of their cool stuff. And yeah, so Chicago sports really did bring me into this because I wanted to work specifically for Chicago teams. And that's still a huge dream of mine. I don't have a full dream mapped out right now. I still don't know where exactly I want to go, but that would be incredible.
Yeah, so it's hard to figure out exactly where we're gonna go, what we want to go into, but I feel like just knowing that like we're doing the work right now and knowing that we're gonna have some cool opportunities because of the stuff we do is nice in itself. Like just at like I can speak personally, I know I'm doing these different things. I know you just mentioned you're doing all these different things, and that's such an incredible level. We're on track maybe to reaching some of those dreams.
Yeah, I hope so.
And that's the same with a bunch of people on this show. And I think that's a beautiful thing about student journalism is you can try out different things and you can attest it and say if you share this thought or not, but try different things and maybe think of some new dreams, realize these new dreams are possible.
Yeah. I think I've realized that about TV, honestly, because when I was really, really little and it first clicked to me, like I told you the story about me sitting on my couch and watching the TV and telling my grandparents, "Oh, I want to do that." Now, I don't know if I want to do that. I think I would rather write and be a little more behind the scenes, but yeah, your mind, it's always going to change. At least for me, I'll go back and forth.
It will. I don't know how it doesn't change, especially if you're just growing up a younger kid. I feel like, every year every teacher asks, all right, what do you want to be when you grow up when you're in the second, third, fourth grade? And it's a different answer every time. Some people,
Yeah.
I'll repeat an answer every now and then. Some people have it down what they want to do, but every now and then you at least have to think of something different. I feel like.
Hmm.
Well, I don't even know what my most unique dream was, but that's not the point. We don't need to go off on that tangent there. I want to ask, like, being a Chicago sports fan, is that your favorite part of being a fan of all Chicago sports? Is that it roped you into journalism, or is there a different aspect that's your favorite?
Um, that is a huge aspect of it, but I think my favorite part about being a Chicago sports fan is how other people can look at me and be like, "Oh my gosh, you are way too crazy about your team." We have a city of 1 million people who are just like me, and that is the best. Like it's painful out here right now in these times. I'll just keep it at that, but we have each other and it's the fans, the fan base, the environment, the atmosphere. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, I know. I feel you. I don't know if you've seen it, but did you see ESPN came out with this? I don't even know what to call it, but it was a thing where you entered the teams you're a fan of, and
Oh, I saw that and I went to do it and I couldn't find the link, so I didn't do it.
oh yeah, no, it's some of those scores are hilarious. For those that don't know, you enter your team, like a group of teams that you're a fan of, into this thing that calculates how, for lack of better terms, miserable the fan,
Hmm.
like that collective fan base is. So like, and this is the most random example I could think of, but like, let's say you're a Vikings fan, but you're also a Timberwolves, or not a Timberwolves, that would make sense, but a Vikings fan, but also a Mavericks fan, but then you're also a New York Giants fan or whatever, and you put those three teams in there. You're a fan of two NFL teams, I guess, but it would it'll take whatever teams you put in and calculate it. I thought that was interesting. I didn't know if
Yeah.
you saw if you went into that at all or not.
I wanted to. I went to their, because they were like link in bio. So I went to the link in bio and it just wasn't there.
Yeah, I know.
Or maybe I'm blind. I don't know.
No, I was like, if you can see here. By the way, new for those that have watched, new setup. I'm in my new apartment now in Iowa City. It's like my 10th
Ah,
location.
hat wall.
What? Oh, that yes, hat wall over here. If you can see the red hat over, that's my Reds hat. Okay, yeah, there it is. Now we're talking about the Chicago. This is what I wanted to bring up, and you see the Bengals logo over there. So yeah, sticking true with my Cincinnati sports, and of course the Reds and Cubs have a little bit of a connection.
Hmm.
No comment.
I like the Reds. They're probably my favorite team in our division. Um, because I can tolerate you guys and I can tolerate your fan base.
I appreciate that.
Colin, I will just keep it straight. If you were a Brewers or Cardinals fan, our relationship would be very different.
I mean, fair. I would kind of hope so. I would hope so. We would be
I'm
sitting.
like 50% messing with you there, but
No, don't be. I know you are. Here's the other part. Yeah, like I know you are, but like, come on. Especially with like we don't need to talk, as I know this will be a sour spot for both of us, but how the Brewers are doing right now, but also the Cubs Cardinals rivalry is pretty good.
it is. My mom's side of the family, the whole side, Cardinals fans. I went to one of their houses once. Their bathroom wallpaper is St. Louis Cardinals themed. I was in there and I was like, mm-mm. I will go to the house next door.
Yeah. I'll
Like,
say this.
I
I'll
don't
say
want
that as a
no.
Reds fan, there's a reason it's in the bathroom, right? Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
it did make sense.
It took a se- I felt like it took a
It
second.
shouldn't be anywhere, honestly.
Well, obviously, but if it's gonna be anywhere, it better be in the bathroom.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think I would say that part. I will say I've been down to St. Louis before, and I wasn't there for a game, but I was in Busch Stadium for like a walking, like just a tour. Um, I'll give them credit. Stadium is nice. Not they do have some cool players in the past, but no, I don't like the Cardinals.
I would agree with that.
They do. I mean, that's the hard part is when I remember walking around and you're looking at some of the players and they're telling you stories about them, and I'm like, this is making me hard to really hate you guys. Like I still hate, but like really hate you guys. Like you got Stan Musial in the past, Ozzie Smith in the past, and
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's pretty cool.
Honestly, I was just talking with my dad about this.
Hmm.
I think I dislike the Brewers more than I dislike the Cardinals.
That's
And I
fair.
don't think it's a common thing among Cubs fans
Yeah.
because I was taught as a child to despise the Cardinals. The
Mm.
Brewers were never in that conversation. It was just Cardinals bad. But now, I don't know. I just really cannot stand the Brewers. I just can't. I can't stand them. I can't stand what they're doing. Just, just can't.
By the way, when we're recording this, it is Monday, August 18th. So what we know of the Brewers is ridiculous and unheard of baseball.
Yeah.
Just for yeah, we don't need to talk about it. It's okay. I won't do that.
We just took loss number one, and now game two is in what, 3 hours?
What time did you say that game was?
7:05.
A little over 2 hours. 2 hours, 15 minutes, 25 minutes. God, remember I said I was decent at math once? We both just whiffed.
Yeah. I just it's a
You good
sensitive
over there?
it's a sensitive subject over here.
Remember the whole like Cubs fans are they're going in they're die for their team.
Oh
Love.
yeah. You'll never catch me not rooting for the Cubs. I don't care if we lose out.
Hmm?
I'll still be a diehard Cubs fan, but
Absolutely.
it's like a full-time job. It's so hard.
It, I mean, you guys are still in a really good spot for the. You were in first place in the wild card, really good spot. So I mean, things are still good.
Yeah, they're so good. I'm just still traumatized from last season when we lost 11 games in a row and then lost our spot in the playoffs. So,
I mean, fair. Yeah,
don't want to get my
we'll
hopes
see
up
what
too bad.
happens. I think they're going to be in a good spot.
I do
Um,
too.
everything. So things will probably pan out in Wrigleyville this summer, or I guess this fall, because October. I see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know any better as a Reds fan. October is the fall.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know any better.
Baseball happens in October. Did you know that?
I didn't know that actually.
Hmm.
See, that's the funny part. That's the tough part. Is yeah, I don't know about it.
You guys are looking good.
They're in a good spot. I'm happy with the team, no matter what happens. Even if, and I'll put this on record, if they, let's say, like the Reds currently stand about a game and a half out of the wild card. Um, and I lean back because I wrote it on a little whiteboard I have here of the wild card standings for the NL. But let's say they don't make the postseason. They gave it a good run. It'll be unfortunate. It'll hurt, but as I don't know, I'll say on record, you got to be happy with what we can get every now and then. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. But if they make the postseason, it'll be a parade.
You told me you'd cry.
I probably would cry. That's the thing. Like it depends on the scenario and what happens. I might just run around in circles with joy, but we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah,
emotion
we shall
overcomes.
see.
I mean, yeah, that's a beautiful part. I know it's completely different level. Chicago's a huge city, and Cincinnati's a decent sized city, but it is huge for baseball. People love baseball around the area, whether it's, of course, the Cincinnati Reds, but all the way down to watching youth baseball. People show out, and it's
Hmm.
impressive.
For sure.
We love our baseball teams. Moral of the
Yeah.
story: we love our baseball teams. But I mean, talking about like for me personally, you mentioned like NHL, like writing for the Chicago Blackhawks. For me, it's always been broadcasting baseball, or of course, broadcasting for the team I grew up loving, the Cincinnati Reds. And I think that's the beauty of what we do is we can have those dreams. We can still love those teams and try all these different things. Do you feel, and here's a question I remember one of my freshman year classes, as a sport and rec class. And the question was basically, do you lose your fandom in this, that, or that? Do you feel like people could lose their fandom at all as a sports journalist? Or should that really not impact it?
I think it depends on the person you
Hmm.
are. Sorry if you can hear my brother laughing in the
I did
background.
not hear it.
Okay, well, he's very loud. Um, but yeah, I think it depends on the type of person you are. We had in my sports writing class with Wayne, we had someone come in and she worked for her favorite team and then basically became miserable and was like, I can't, like, don't ever work for your favorite team because it'll ruin the team for you and da, da, da. And I was sitting there and just I felt everything just come crumbling down. Um, but then again, I put myself in that spot. Okay, let's say I work for the Cubs. Yeah, I'm going to be working 162 games. I'm going to be gone all the time. But I love that. And I think you just have to love it enough in order to maintain stability and maintain that being a fan as well as being a journalist. But yeah, it definitely depends on the person and it depends on the job you have. Depends on a lot. It can be overwhelming. And I don't know, I think it's a good example with Iowa sports. If, if being a journalist about the Iowa football team, I don't it like it doesn't impact me as a fan. I still root for our team. I don't love them any less. I still have the same amount of passion, even though I cover them. So yeah, I think it just depends.
No, I completely agree with that. And I think that kind of leans into what I wanted to ask you. And I guess I'll ask it this way. Do you think, and this is actually, I won't say it on here, but something that's come up around Cincinnati sports, especially with the Reds. Um, do you think it's okay for a journalist to be a fan of the team? Let's say they're on a beat for a specific thing, be a fan of the team they're covering.
Um, I think that also depends on the context that they work in. I know you've told me about you guys have a Cubs fan who's a Reds reporter, and there's some bias and some stuff. Like, to me, that's not cool. Um, but the Cubs, we have Bleacher Na Nation, and the guy is Brett Taylor. He's the biggest Cubs fan ever, but he writes ethically, he writes well. So I think it just depends.
Bringing that to like the Iowa side, like, obviously at this point, we're students at the University of Iowa. We like Iowa athletics. We also cover Iowa athletics. How do you personally, as a student journalist, balance being a fan of those teams, for example, Iowa football, but also staying professional, being a journalist, doing your job?
Sometimes it's hard. Last year, I was covering the Iowa State game for KRUI, and that was really hard not to react in the way I wanted to react. I had to go on air and talk about my feelings about the game. And I was sitting there and I was just like, I don't know how to be nice. I don't know like what I can say and I it's hard. Um, but it's a good lesson. And I would rather learn that lesson now than get in the real world and get a big time job and then do something and then get fired. So I think it's a good lesson.
Absolutely. I think that's also a context, again, KRUI Sports being our student radio, where you can kind of show a little bit more of that bias, that fandom. I was listening to on the drive up here to Iowa City a podcast with John Sadak, who is the play-by-play voice on TV for the Cincinnati Reds, and he actually talked about this concept a little bit. And he was like, "I think if you're local TV, local writer, whatever, like, why wouldn't you want the team you cover, the team you broadcast for, to do well?" That's pretty much exactly what he said, and I would agree with that. As long as you can maintain sharing the facts, sharing the stories, telling the truth or whatever, not letting your fandom overtake your actual work, I think you can still show a little bit of emotion.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's an interesting part with the writing aspect. You talk about getting into that more. And you talked about bring people into the scene, showing them what they can't see. How do you convey that emotion over words, over text?
Just in general or being a fan?
What honestly in general, but also if you can, if you want to take it away as being a fan, whatever way you see it.
Well, from a fan perspective, I think it's easier to write for a fan base,
Mhm.
um, because they understand a lot more. They've been following it. They are just as excited as you are. So it's definitely easier to write that way. But general writing, connecting on an emotional level, it can be hard. You really have to like nail every single detail that goes on behind the scenes, especially with attention spans now.
Mm,
People aren't going to want to read something that bores them for over 2 seconds. And if they're reading about this exciting game or this specific athlete, they want to know the story. Okay, they won. Why is that important? What's the story behind that? So I think putting emotion in there is so important. And I think it's the most important thing that you could do in writing, besides having a good lead. Um, you have to make people feel.
absolutely. It's funny. We're pretty much on the same wavelength right now. As you said the word lead, and I was thinking like you want to captivate someone, and I was gonna
Yeah,
ask, and maybe this is a tough one to answer, but do you have a favorite lead that you've written for an article?
I think I do, but I'm forgetting which one it is.
Well, take a second if
I
you
would have to come back to that. I would need to go and look at all of them.
really, yeah.
But um, yeah, leads can be hard.
Hmm.
I've sat there for long amounts of time thinking, okay, what can I put here that could also connect to the story, but also leads. It's harder than people realize
Hmm.
sometimes. But yeah, I for sure have a favorite lead. I'm completely forgetting what it is though.
It's
I would
okay.
have to come back to it.
If you think about it, just blurt it out. That's completely fine. But I think the cool part with you specifically, you do TV and the writing, and you mentioned like attention spans, and that's going to be hard in either case here. How do you feel the lead of a visual TV story, a package, can differ from a written story, the lead of a written story?
That differs because if you do an open stand-up, you can be creative with it. Um, and that's something we've been working on in DITV is a little movement, a little motion, a little fun, a little creativity. So if you're it's also cool to be standing in that place and people can see you in that place. I think that alone is just something that's super cool and captivating. But yeah, if you're able to move or get your hands on a basketball or something like that, that's cool. And people are gonna want to watch it. At least I would.
No, absolutely. I would feel the same. I think there's some cool stories where when you mentioned a basketball where someone's taking a shot in the stand up or I don't know, they do whatever that can happen. I always laugh at I did it once as well, but Brady and I both like stepped over the half court line.
Yeah.
That's little, that's pretty much minuscule, but it's anything to add a little pizzazz, a little flair to your story.
Yeah. And you don't have to be, I mean, you should, but you don't have to be as captivating with your words
Hmm.
because your actions can make up for it. But still, I think even visually, and I was going to talk to you about this. I kind of want to incorporate it next year. I think our leads should be just as strong as if we were writing about it.
Yes, ma'am. I'd agree with that. I think that's a huge part of it, especially when, I mean, you're a student, you're making reels for everything.
Hmm.
So that'll be important for that as well. But also, yeah, it just helps tell a good story.
Yeah. You
I'm on
had
board.
Ashley on this podcast, and I watched a few of her old packages, and her leads were just so good. And I was like, man, like we got to start doing that. Because it was like she was reading her writing. I was like, that's really cool.
Mhm.
So shout out to Ashley.
Shout out Ashley Davidson of Oregon. If you have a chance, I advise, I mean, not for you specifically, but in general, for anyone listening, to go listen to that episode. I thought that was a
Hmm.
fun
She's
one.
awesome.
She was great. And we'll do a little self plug here real quick. She'll be back for before the kickoff. If you don't
Oh,
know,
really?
yeah, I told her about it.
Woo.
And she said she is more than willing. So we have Elise and I will be co-hosting a show called Before the Kickoff with DITV. It's just our weekly pregame football segment. We'll talk everything about Iowa football's upcoming game. And Ashley will appear for a little bit to talk about the Iowa Oregon football game, give us a little insight on the Oregon football team.
Nice.
So plug BTK. Shout out Ashley, real quick. I'm excited for BTK. I think that's the one where we can just kind of we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too.
I remember one of my favorite parts is just finding something dumb to do each week or creative. Like my favorite is always throwing on the old time helmet, if you
Mm-hmm.
remember that. It was so dumb. I had hyped it up for 3 weeks, and I kept telling didn't tell anyone what it was, but I was like, you guys just have to wait for it. Um, and on the side of the screen, I was like, here's this game worn helmet that I put
Oh,
on.
wow.
I
You
did
have it with
not plan for that either, by the way. It was just sitting here, but there's the helmet.
love it.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for that as well. But I mean, just talking about all your experiences, the fun stories you've had, the things you enjoy behind the scenes. We've talked a little bit around some aspects of student journalism that are enjoyable or beneficial, but on a basic surface level, from everything you've seen, why is student journalism so important for the outside person to pay attention to?
I think students and kids alone are a lot more real, especially working for their school stations. Um, College students are very passionate people, and they're very passionate about their schools and their teams. So what they give you is legit. So I think that's very important to take into consideration. And also, I think a lot of people underestimate student journalists. You're young, but it doesn't mean we don't know what we're doing. So it's also getting our feet in the door and paving that path. I just think it's an important thing in general.
It is an important thing, and I agree with that statement. Just because student journalists are younger than every single professional and like true professional in the field doesn't mean they're worse. I mean, you can convey that in a sports way too. Like think about how, all right, this young player is better than someone who's older. It does not
Mhm.
matter. They're the age. I think at this point is if you can tell a good story, you can tell a good story.
Right.
And I think here's the unique part with you is being a woman in this field. It is obviously a male dominated field, and I openly admit that. Um, but
It's all
being
your fault.
it's my fault. Yeah, I don't know why I say it like that, but it's my fault. But no, it's admittedly it's a male dominated field. So being a woman in sports, why do you think it's so much more important to see women in this field?
Again, because it didn't click for me until I saw a woman on TV that this is something that I could do. And representation is so much more important than people think. Um, because yeah, people can tell you, oh, well, why didn't you just get into it right away? Because I don't see anyone like me. So it makes me think that it's just going to be so easy, you know? And that's my main goal. I want to be that person that younger girls see on TV or they read my writing or whatever I end up doing. I want them to see my stuff and be like, I want to do that. If she can do it, I can do it. So yeah, if I can do it, you guys can do it too.
Absolutely. And I think building off that point there, I've seen it where in public you've gotten a little like, hey, I like your work or whatever. I remember covering a baseball game with you, and someone came, I was like, hey, I appreciate what you do. Um, so knowing that, I mean, you're in that spot now. I mean, it's only on the student level, of course, but it is the same as a professional level. You're telling great stories and people are seeing your work. So knowing that you're in that spot and people could, especially younger girls, could see your work and be inspired by it. What's your message to girls wanting to get into this field?
My message? Well, my first one is cliche, don't give up. Because if you give up, you're not going to get anywhere. If I gave up trying to get to where I would be now, I would probably be in a different major because my experience of getting here was not fun. My second message, don't be afraid to put your foot down and stand your ground. I have gotten so many, do you know what you're doing? Do you know how that works? And it's really frustrating and degrading and I don't know, but it's also when people think they're better than you just because they're men, don't be afraid to prove why you are just as good as they are. Don't be afraid to put your foot in the door and get the ball rolling. Just do it. Take the chance, take the opportunity, just do it. And you will get so much further than you think. That's what I had to do. I got mad enough to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. And look where I am. I'm so happy. I'm living my dream. And yeah, that's my message. Don't give up. Don't be afraid and just do it.
Yes, ma'am. Snaps to that right there. Give you some. I mean, yeah, I'll say it again. You are showing that every day. You are proving it every day, and I like the phrase there. Just do it.
Nike.
Like, ironically enough, we were talking about Ashley a little bit ago. That was similar to her message as well. Was just do it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is such an important thing to say. Is like even if you make a mistake, you're gonna like you're if you keep pushing on, you're gonna find yourself in a really good position, like Miss Elise Gan here, who is doing so well.
Yeah, and that's another huge part. As a woman in sports, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You have to work 10 times harder than any man to get to the same place that a man will be. And if you mess up, you will get all the blame. But if a man messes up, it's not that big of a deal. So don't let that get you down. Just let it make you mad. It's not fun to be mad, but sometimes being mad helps. So let it make you upset, let it motivate you, let it fuel you. It's going to happen. At one time or another, this is not an easy journey. You're going to get questioned, you're going to get invalidated, you're going to get stomped on, but yeah, just keep going.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think a nice way to think about it too is like you mentioned going back to that moment where you're sitting on the couch, you're looking up and maybe you're seeing a woman on the TV, or maybe you're like, oh, maybe this is something I might want to do. Knowing where you're at now, thinking about everything you just said, if you could go back in time and tell yourself, hey, this is what I'm doing currently, what would you tell yourself, and or what would your younger self think?
Well, I would prepare myself for freshman year of college. I would say, hey, all of this is gonna happen, but you gotta fight it or else you won't end up where I am. And basically what I just said, I would just tell myself, look, all of this is gonna happen, but you just gotta plow through it. Um, and I think my younger self would be very proud. Also that I stayed committed to this for so long. Since I was 10 or 11, I told people I was gonna go to college for journalism. That's exactly what I did. So, yeah,
Yes, ma'am. No, good. I didn't even know that part there of always saying I'm going to go into college for journalism, and I think that's a really cool aspect too.
thanks.
I know it's definitely different from me there. Although I had no idea what I wanted to do for so long. I would be a younger kid, and they're like, you know what you want to do, and you maybe go to college or whatever. It's like I don't know what accounting is. I don't know what anything is. So I didn't know what any of the majors were. So I was like, no, I don't know. But no,
Yeah.
it's cool to know that you had this vision. You're like, I'm gonna find a way. And look at you have absolutely found you've more than just found a way. And I think a cool part with student journalism as well, and we mentioned a little bit ago, is like connections and meeting people and an opportunity for yourself now to network through this and give a plug to anything of for people to go watch or check out for your work after they've listened to this.
Oh man. Plug? Well, I have a YouTube channel. Think it's Elise Gan 9 or something. I'll put my packages on there. I also have a website. It's WordPress. Will be linked. Okay. So I have
Oh yeah,
that.
it will
It's
be
a
linked.
really long URL, so I don't remember the
Stay
full
linked, don't
thing.
worry.
It's called Through the Eyes of a Journalist. It's not for school, not for work. It's just something I like to do. I write about whatever I want. Or over the summer at my internship, something really cool happened at one of the baseball games. So I wrote a really long recap about that. And I was like, well, that could go on my website. So that's up there. It's just a bunch of miscellaneous stuff.
Absolutely. I'll make sure I link everything. Don't worry about that one. On your YouTube page, am I going to find any, unique fun videos at all, or is it just your package?
No,
No.
that's my other YouTube page.
Oh, I'm gonna find
When
it
I
and
was
link it
like
as
8.
well. I'm gonna find it and link it as well.
Yep.
No, don't
I
worry.
did
But
some singing, some DIY.
oh, now I'm gonna find this.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah, that
Wow.
thing is confident. That's like,
Nope.
no one is ever going to see that.
I'm going to send you a picture or video later of me scrolling down on this YouTube page. Just you wait for it. Sit by your phone, have your ringer on, notifications on, ready. I'm gonna find this. I'm absolutely not gonna find this. There's no way. I'm not very confident. I might look for like 5 seconds and then be like, okay, I tried.
I've tried finding it again. I can't even find it.
Oh yeah, then no way. No way.
Yeah.
Mom.
It was a duet channel. It wasn't just me. It was me and one of my friends. So I don't know what the
Oh,
name
okay, that's
was.
fun. That's fun.
So I like I can't remember for the life of me. I'll have to ask her.
Yeah, and then you'll share, and I'm gonna go through it.
You already saw my blog.
I have seen your blog. I have. But
Yeah.
also, I mean, and this is completely on me. I apologize for this, but shout out to the internship this summer because you had a really cool position, and I want you to mention that real quick. Give yourself a shout out there.
Yeah, I worked with the Kenosha Kingfish. They're a collegiate baseball team. And I was the scorer along with they called it PR, but I didn't really do PR. They have like a little newspaper that they give out before the games. It's super cute. And I went to my manager, Justin, and I said, all right, so is there anything you want me to put on here that's specific? Do you want me to do this? And he was like, that's your baby. Like, do whatever you want with it. So I had the time of my life making it like my own little thing. And I would write a preview about, what happened the night before, what's happening tonight, why is this game important, what's the biggie. Um, just put a ton of other stuff on there. And then I would also write the post-game recaps.
Absolutely. No, I thought that was a really cool thing you did this summer. So I didn't want to, I almost, but I didn't want to forget it at all. I wanted to bring that up. And again, I'm still going to link everything, but I got to end with one more thing because, again, we mentioned we're co-sports directors this year. So we've covered a lot of games together. Is there like a really cool person that you've ever like covered a game with or like called a game with at all?
Yeah, Brady Barron, shout out.
He's pretty cool. What about,
I'm
what
just kidding.
about, a person whose name starts with C?
Crying Paris is just so awesome.
Ryan.
You had him,
I did have him on the show
you
too.
had him on.
I did.
No, Colin, you're great.
Oh wow. I really appreciate it.
I
Wow.
am really looking forward to it. I'm very excited. We're
I
gonna we're
am
gonna kill it. High five.
five. We're gonna be amazing.
We are.
I am
Isn't
very excited to work with you. I mean, we're best duo. Gonna be fantastic. Was that a disagree or
No, I was just yeah.
there it is. There it is. I was gonna say. Come on. But I'll give you a chance here to leave us on any other note that anything else you want to bring up.
I don't really have anything else.
That means I did what I was supposed to do here and brought up everything I could.
Good job.
Pat on the back to me. But obviously, again, Elise, thank you for spending some time with me here today. I know you're taking out a good chunk of your day for this. And again, I'm going to attest this. I have to do this because you are incredible. You do a lot of great stuff. And I am very excited to get this year rolling alongside you and see the amount of amazing work you'll do.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for joining me on the Student Beat this week.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Student Beat. Make sure you check out all of Elise's work. She's one of the best out there, and I'm just so excited to continue the work right alongside her this year. And if you want to stay up to date with all upcoming episodes of The Student Beat, make sure to follow me on Twitter at C_Crithers33 or at The Student Beat. We just walked The Student Beat. I'll see you next week for a brand new episode.